Does consent to sex equal consent to pregnancy? This is a comment that was on an Equal Rights Institute video that tackled that subject, and I thought they did very well. If someone takes birth control, doesn't that mean that they're not consenting to sex? Just like if you're wearing a seat belt, then you're not consenting to the injury sustained in an accident. Seat belts don't guarantee that you're not going to get into an accident, and they don't guarantee that you're also not going to be harmed in an accident. And if you take birth control, there's no guarantee that you won't get pregnant. It mitigates the risks, sure, but there's still a possibility that if you engage in procreation, then someone will be created. When it comes to seatbelt laws, they're not the same in every state, but if you sit behind the front seats, you don't necessarily have to wear your seatbelts unless you're a minor. And if the police pull you over and your kids aren't wearing seatbelts and kids aren't in the right booster seats or car seats or whatever, that could be a pretty big ticket for the adults because they have an obligation to make sure their children are safe. But what's interesting to me is when people bring up these car analogies at all is that the state is really, really a stickler about insurance. Maybe not in every state, but in my state, you have to have insurance when you go out and hit the road in case something might happen to you or something might happen to other drivers. They take it so seriously that you have to have it. You have to have it. Even if you can't afford it, you have to have it. I guess you just ain't driving if you can't afford it. But they will scan your license and pull you over for no other traffic violation, just scanning it and seeing that you don't have insurance. And they can tow your car because they think it is that important to make sure that you are prepared for your obligation for yourself and others in case there is some kind of accident that happens. And the key word there is obligation. Parents have certain obligations to their children. If you engage in the act of procreation and it creates someone who is needy and vulnerable, at least for 9 months, you have an obligation to care for that child until you can safely, pass on that obligation to someone else, because you don't necessarily have to raise them. You can put them up for adoption or something like that. Just like you're obligated to take care of your child when they're outside of the womb until you can transfer care, the same should go for the preborn. And you may not necessarily want to do that, but you can't always get what you want, especially when the way to get out of the situation that you're in is taking the life of someone else. So it's very important how we choose to exercise our right to bodily autonomy before someone else gets implanted in our womb.